Welcome to Sistah's Conversations podcast with your hostess, Letrise Carter. We feature interviews in literary, film, and television, as well as real topics that impact the Black community.
Welcome to Sistah's Conversations with your hostess, Letrise Carter and Selena Haskins. This is a special Father's Day podcast celebrating fatherhood and being a Black man in America. Welcome special guests to the show, Archie Bouie II, Corey Morgan, and Tony Spoon Stewart. Gentlemen, welcome to Sistah's Conversations on Sistah's Place.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for having us.
Well, this special podcast, as Letrise mentioned, is to celebrate Black fathers and their contributions to our community. We will discuss what it's like being a Black man in America. Again, guys, welcome to the show. So we're going to get started, and we have some questions regarding fatherhood. And I'd like to start with Archie Bouie. When you first learned that you were going to be a father, Archie, what were the first thoughts that came to your mind?
To be perfectly honest with you, Selena, the first thought that came to my mind was fear. My father left when I was 7. I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood and saw some things that I thought I was going to transfer to my child. But out of my pain, I was able to raise my child up in an environment that I aspired to as a kid. So, I have been there for my child. I have taken him on trips and games, and I never missed a game. I'm at the school, and it's not just his mom at the school. So that fear turned into be my fuel, and I don't regret a thing. I'm a proud father of 4, and I would do it all over again.
Oh, wow, that's great. That's wonderful. And what about you, Corey?
Oh, well, when I first found out that I was going to be a father, it was, I think, the only thing that made me happier than to find out that I was going to be a father was the day that my first daughter was born. And I mean, yeah, there was a whole, I was afraid. I had no idea whether or not I was going to be as good a father as I wanted to be. But one of the things that I always knew was that I wanted to be a father. I actually wanted to raise daughters. And I actually have 2. I have 2 daughters. One will turn 21 in 2 weeks. The other will turn 15 in December. And I know that growing up, my dad was a really big role model to me. He was, he led the Boy Scouts and the Cub Scouts for 40 years. He was active in the community. He was that guy in the community. Everybody knew, and he was involved. And I looked at the example he set, especially being a mentor to young people. And I wanted to be a father like him. That was the only thing that I knew that I wanted to be. And like my wife and her family, they had a tendency to think that maybe I was, when we first got married or when we were seeing each other, that I may have been, not terribly motivated to, really looking like I wanted to do anything with my life. And they didn't really understand until we had children that, being motivated to be a father is like the most important thing. As far as I was concerned, the job was going to show up. I was going to have a career, but raising children was more important because that's the future. That's what I leave here after I'm gone. And I have to make sure that they come up correctly, or else when they get to be adults, they ain't going to be right. And it's going to be on me for that.
Well, I appreciate you for saying that and having that type of motivation. You had an example that was set for you, Archie, despite the fact that he didn't know his dad, he was still determined to be a father to his children as well. So, Tony, what about you? How did you feel when you first learned you were going to be a father?
I had 3 different emotions, right? One was kind of like Archie, the first guy, right? You know what I'm saying? My father left when I was 5 or whatever. And so I had moved in a tough neighborhood. So where it was a lot of single moms and not too many dads. So I was learning how to be a man from misguided individuals, right? So when I first found out I was going to be a dad, number one, I was in the street. So I was like, damn, am I even going to be alive when this baby is born. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
and you know, a lot of that had wore on me. But then as time went on, I had to understand that, and then it made me step up to the plate because I removed myself from those environments. And then I was like, okay, I don't ever want my kids to go through what I went through, right? So then I stepped up and tried to do everything that I could to be the best father that I can. And
Well,
I mean, you know,
guys, for that.
yeah.
You don't have to allow your environment or your circumstances and how you grew up to determine the type of fathers you want to be. You can change that. It doesn't always have to be cyclical where you keep repeating the same thing, the same mistakes. But that's the thing that I really appreciate about our generation is that you guys have really stepped up to the plate, and I'm sure it wasn't easy for none of you. Even with Corey, having a fatherly example in his life, I'm sure he has his challenges as well. And so speaking of which, Archie, how did you balance your career and other goals that you wanted to achieve with fatherhood?
I mean, for me, I think the thing that took over once I had children is they are the first priority, period. Everything I did professionally was for them. And so I think I kept that in the forefront of my mind. If my job took me away from my kids, then the job is going to have to come second fiddle. The kids and my family are my number one priority regardless. So there's nothing I've done professionally that I've allowed to take me away from my children and my family. It's just, you have to prioritize. You can't make your family second fiddle to anything, especially a job, because jobs come and go. If I die tomorrow, they'll post my job and replace me in a New York minute. But my children are my legacy, so I've always prioritized them first.
That's wonderful. What about you, Corey? How did you balance your career and other goals to achieve? How did you balance that out with fatherhood, your career and your other goals?
Oh, like Archie said, the family comes first. There are so many fathers, traditional, fathers in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. They work, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80-hour weeks, and they're away from the family and, the wife and the kids. The kids grow up, and mom has been doing everything for them, and the kids get to resenting dad. And then when there's finally a confrontation, dad says, "I worked all this stuff so you can have everything you have," and the family always says, the only thing we really wanted was you. We wanted you in our lives. We wanted you at the baseball game. We wanted you at the football practice, and you were working. I'd rather be poor with you in my life than rich with you, away at work. And I had to take that exact philosophy. I'm gonna be with them in my children's life. And there have been instances in my job. I used to work for the Secret Service, and during Hurricane Katrina, I had to go down to New Orleans to help set up security out there. And my bosses told me, at the last minute, after working a 29-hour shift, they said, "All right, you're going down to New Orleans." They did not tell me until like that second, "You're going down there to New Orleans." And I said, "All right, well, how long you need me out there?" And they said, "We don't know." My wife was pregnant at the time. She was 6 months pregnant. And I said, you got to give me an end date or something, an area, because my wife is pregnant. I said, "Well, we need you on the job. We need you out there." And I flat out told them, I said, "Look, you cannot put me in a position to choose between my family and my job." My wife, right? Exactly. My wife is 6 months pregnant. From where I was in New York at the time, I was, I live in Maryland, but I was working in New York. I said, from New York, I can be home in 3-4 hours. From New Orleans, I can't get home at that time. The storm had just finished. It was no man's land out. It was like the Wild West. I said, I can't get back there. If there's an emergency, I can't leave. So if you're asking me to choose between my wife and my family, I'll walk off this job today. And fortunately, they took a step back, and they asked my partner, who told them, like, "Well, his wife's pregnant. Of course he's going to make that decision. Send me out there." And they sent him out, and they told me. Then they said, "All right, your partner's going to go out first, and you're going to go out there for 2 weeks, and then we'll bring you home." And I'm like, that's all I needed. But you can't put that job in front of your family, because like Archie said, they can replace you in a minute.
Yeah.
As a dad, as a good husband and a father, you're irreplaceable.
That's right.
That's right. So, Tony, what about you? How do you balance your career and your other goals that you wanted to achieve with fatherhood? How do you balance that out?
I just figured that I should have waited to be a father if I'm going to be solely chasing my goals, right? So like the other guys said, once you become a father, everything just you got to drop what you want to do. You can still pursue it, but you're not going to be able to pursue it at 100% level, right? So I never, where my profession as far as like comedy and all that, I got to always be on the road, right? And I can't really see me leaving my son in this city, in Washington, D.C. by himself. You know what I'm saying? None of my kids. I can't see, because I know how it was for me by myself, you know what I'm saying, without the father's guidance. So I said I couldn't do that. And I said, I think I'm going to be funny forever, but who knows how long forever is. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, man, well, I just put my stuff on the background and then get them up and going. And if I still had that passion with them and still do the comedy, then I can run forward. But my daddy duty come before anything else.
Yeah. Right. That's right. So, that's how it has to be.
That's right.
So, and that's working a job that I work 144.5 hours a week.
Woo-wee!
Think about that.
Good Lord.
Think about that.
Ooh, Lord, brother.
18-hour days. Yes. Yes. But that's neither here. That's neither here nor there, because I do it all for my family. You see what I'm saying? And me having to do that, I think my sons and my daughter would see that daddy got that initiative to take care of family, and that's what we got to get back to. Yep. Making our kids see that there's a thing such as family, not just mommy on this side, daddy on this side, and we get together whenever we get together. Nah, that unity, and we could just build it up, keep building it up. So I took the sacrifices to, I guess, right my parents' wrongs, and just, man, it's just, I'm in agreement with the other guys said, man. I just added my 2 cents, man. Salute to you fellas for y'all great job, man.
Absolutely.
Great job, guys. So now that your children have reached certain ages, because I know it sounds like you have children like in their early 20s, how close do you think you succeeded at your fatherly goals, and what would you have done differently? Let's start with Archie again.
I would say the one thing, I have 2 boys and 2 girls, and I would say the one thing that I would change is probably my sons. I grew up rough in the hood, and so I have the gift of being able to go from the boardroom to a street corner. My sons don't have that gift. My sons, they never experienced anything I experienced, and so I feel like they had the blessing of a nuclear family. Everything's in place, everybody's taking care of them, but they also had the curse of not having to struggle in certain areas of their life. And so in my opinion, and my son, especially my oldest son, they always push back. It made them a little soft, and they don't have the tenacity and the drive that I have, because they had everything given to them. And so that was the one thing I would change. I would make their lives a little more gritty, if I could use that term.
No, I definitely understand that, because basically what you're saying is they were with you during the come up. They were just there after the storm, so to speak. You know what I mean? So they just see the rainbow and the sky and the sun. You know what I mean? They didn't see you on your grind. They didn't see you, on your wit's end, struggling to get to the point they are now. And I can definitely relate, even though I'm not a father, I'm a mom, I'm still a parent. But my husband and I, we say that a lot, the upbringing that our son had is so different from the upbringing that we had. Even driving to, we're in Maryland now, but we grew up in DC, and I'm still DC all day. But when we drive through the city, certain parts and areas, it's like a culture shock for my son.
Right.
He's like, why is that man looking like he's asleep on the corner? And I know the truth about the man, you know what I mean? I know why he's nodding off or what have you. But he's never seen that stuff before.
Right.
So I can definitely relate to what you mean. This generation, even though we want, kind of more for them, it's like they don't know the struggle. They don't really know what it's like.
But should they have ever known the struggle? You get what I'm saying? Because for the simple fact, we had to grow in that and accept that. That is not the norm.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
What we try to show our kids is what is the norm.
That's true.
So I mean,
yeah, that's a good point. You're absolutely right.
And like, we accepted that. You know what I'm saying? We accepted that. But we rebuilding a generation by showing them that this is not the norm. What mommy and daddy went through is not the norm. It's a different reality out here. So we got to change the reality. Then once you change the reality, the mindsets change.
Yep.
Right.
And then the community builds again. It rebuilds itself. So it's starting with us. And we as these other guys, we starting as fathers, we trying to rebuild a lot of things that's been broken down because we understand the magnitude that can have on life. And we don't want our kids to have that same thing. Like the guy said that his kids don't even see the reality. When I took my son out of Virginia for the first time, he said, "Daddy, is this where all the white people live at? Because I don't see no black people." My son wasn't even used to white people.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, we got to show them a bigger world. You know what I'm saying? We got to show them a bigger world than these messed up communities that we've been placed in. We got to show them a bigger world. Life is way bigger than this block, that block, DC, Maryland, Virginia. It's a whole globe out here.
Yep.
We got to have their minds expand rather than be so compact about survival in these treacherous trenches we are in right now. But that's all I had to add.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Tony, and you're right. So, Corey, now that your daughters,
yes,
I just have a daughter that just went off to college, or she's been in, maybe this is her first year of college. I know that your girls, I think, are in the
No, she'll actually be. My oldest is actually going to be entering her last year in college.
Last year,
okay.
Okay. So
she's about to. Oh, appreciate it. Thank you.
So how close, Corey, do you think you succeeded at your fatherly goals, and what would you have done differently with your daughters?
Oh man, how close do I? As far as my fatherly duties, how well do I think I succeeded? I mean, if I'm the one that's making the judgment, and I would rather other people judge that. I would, like I said, I would rather my wife, my kids, the people at church, the people who see my children when I'm not around. That's how I know how well I succeeded, by how they see my girls when I'm not there. Because when Dad's standing around, everybody's gonna act right when Dad's standing behind you. When they can see that Dad is standing there in the back with his arms folded, they on their best behavior without a doubt. But I mean, for me, what I know though is that as far as raising my kids, I think I did a good job. I was very much cognizant about how my children will be seen, by outside. Making sure that they make the right move, that they know what to do when they're outside, dealing with different types of people, different situations. I made sure that they could, that they could, school was like extremely important. I made sure that my daughters could read before they turned 4 years old. Those things were really, and this stuff, that's the stuff that's paying off with them now. If I could change things, I think I would have probably been a bit more patient, maybe a bit more lenient when they were younger, because I won't say I was strict, but I was stern. I did not want I didn't want society to discipline them.
Right.
Because that's often worse than anything the parents can do. Society disciplining a child can kill them. And I wanted to make sure that they knew where they needed to be, how they needed to talk, where they needed to stand, that sort of thing, without them being judged by the police or by people who didn't know them and didn't care about them. Fortunately, over time, short time, they were still young. I learned I can back off. I can still do the same thing. I can still be the same disciplinarian, and I don't have to. My kids don't need to be afraid of me.
Right.
And I'm thankful that they never were, but I could see that I could have been on that path. But like now I've got I got a child that's going to be turning 21 in a couple of weeks, and one that'll turn 16 at the end of the year. And if I say at the end of the night, who wants a bedtime story, they're going to both be in their pajamas and on Dad's bed to listen to me read like something like Green Eggs and Ham or something, because that was stuff that they remember when they were growing up. That was fun for them. And they would have me read stories or change the story up, or just give me a cartoon and have me actually, off the top of my head, write a new episode of the cartoon for their bedtime story. And those are the things. Those are things that they remember.
Right.
And those are the things that when they were little, when they were babies, that I wanted to be sure to do for them, because this world is going to have enough stuff that's going to disappoint them and upset them, and they need one place and two parents, at the very least one parent, that can give them that that home base feeling, where they're safe, where they know that they're comfortable, and they know they can speak. They can be comfortable and they can be vulnerable. I love my parents to death, but my dad and my mom weren't people I could open up to, and I wanted to make sure my kids were never going to be in a position where they felt they couldn't tell me what they were feeling or what was on their mind.
Well,
and that's helped their.
Despite you being
it's helped their growth. Yeah, it's something that I missed, and I wanted to make sure that they didn't miss it.
Absolutely.
That's good.
And that's good you had that balance, because you said you were kind of stern with them, but that you also provided a comfort level for them to be able to talk to you. So that's important. So Tony, what about you? I know that your children have now reached a certain age. I enjoy watching some of the video clips when Junior is cutting your hair.
Yeah.
How close do you think you have succeeded at your fatherly goals, and what would you have done differently?
All right. Like, I got 3 different scenarios. See, I don't know about these guys, but it sounds like they don't have the same scenarios that I have, right?
It's okay.
So I can say that let's say I've kind of underachieved, but then I balanced out. You know what I'm saying? Because I had my first 2 kids is 9 months apart, 2 different women, right? Exactly 9 months apart. One is September 23rd, the other one is June 23rd. So because I was in a different space, I was immature and things like that. So I didn't know how to embrace fatherhood because my father left me.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know how to embrace that, right? So, but it took time. It took time for me to have to heal my relationship with my dad in order to become a better dad, because I didn't understand. Because I was like, okay, you left me, I turned all right. Maybe if I leave them, I turn all right. That's the first 2. Now the last one is like, that's where I say I kind of like balanced out, because I was able to show the father that I am, right? With this little guy, 100% of all his medical appointments, 100% of PTA meetings, 100% of football practice, 100% of basketball practice, 100% of I've just been there 100%. And now all of us are starting to come together, because I believe as long as I have enough breath in me to make this situation right, I'm gonna make it right. So now everybody is coming together, and we starting to be more of a family now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing about that is that you talking about Junior cutting my hair now. The reason why he used to be a barber, he became a barber, is because I used to cut his hair so much when we was younger. Because I just used to want to just show him stuff that you could do whatever you want to do. And he got tired of me cutting his hair and messing it up. So he said, I'm gonna learn the right way. He said, I'm gonna learn the right way. So he went to school to do that, and he got his own, he got like Junior is the one that's most closest to me. And everything that I have, he embodied, right? He worked hard. He worked like he cut hair, he cut grass, he worked at a little indoor trampoline park. He do the consulting stuff. So he on it. He on this Jamaican. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, yeah. So I'm like, I ain't mad at him for it, because the object is to as a young man, I told my son, stay busy, because there's a lot of things that you can get into. And I always preach to my sons. I said, unless you can take care of yourself fully, that woman and that baby don't have no babies, because you add extra stress on yourself, because daddies are the one that's supposed to be the provider, the protector. That's a heavy ass hat to wear. You know what I'm saying? So I just tell them, until you ready to do that and you can afford that financially, emotionally, and all that, don't be no father. Now, I told him to have fun, but make sure he go into CVS to that Planned Parenthood aisle and rack up. I told him have fun.
There you go.
But do not be no daddy unless you financially stable and emotionally stable enough to take on that responsibility. That's what I give them.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is the important advice right there.
Right, exactly. I see where I failed at, and I wouldn't want my son to fall in that same, that same bit of delay in life that it caused me. So I want him to be like, man, you got to have it forward. You got to think forward, because this fatherhood, that don't go away.
That's
that
right.
don't go away. You're a father once that baby come up. Once you laid down with that woman and she told you she pregnant, you are a father from that point on until you die. And then you still got
All your
responsibilities
priorities
after
change
you die.
just like that.
Yeah.
What you say,
Yeah.
Corey?
I said all your priorities change immediately. You
Absolutely.
talk about you like to go out every night.
I'm
Corey,
glad
you
they
broke
got
up a little bit.
Yeah, you did.
Corey, you still with us?
there.
He might be having a little technical issues.
Okay.
But like he said, like with the going to clubs and all that, that's what got me in trouble in the first place. I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna stay home and do my daddy do. That way I ain't getting in no trouble. I'm telling you, I'm not. I refuse.
So it
I'm
sounds
glad
like
they. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Enjoy yourself. Go ahead.
No, I was saying it sounds like you guys already understand the importance of, Black men being good role models to your children. So what impact do you believe this will have on our society? We'll ping back to Archie. How important do you think it is for Black men being role models to their children, and what will be the impact on our society?
I think it'll have a awesome impact. Being able to see fatherhood exemplified in front of your eyes, it's more likely that you'll be able to exemplify that to your children. You can exemplify without a father. Obviously, several of us are doing it without examples, but having that example in your face day in and day out makes it easier for you to have those positive traits for your children when they come. So I think for us, we're raising kings and queens to go out, and then they raise subsequently kings and queens until our village is right back where it should have been and where it was before all this turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
That's true. What about you, Corey? How do you think being a Black role model, especially as a Black man and a father, what impact do you believe this will have on our society today?
Man, our society needs to see this. They need to see Black men being good role models, being fathers, because a lot of what they think they know about us is what's been, it's the propaganda that's been pushed on them for decades, if not centuries, about us, being idiots, about us not being there, not caring about our children. And that is countered by us changing that narrative and forcing the actual reality of it on them by being those fathers and being seen being good fathers. That's the sort of stuff that society, it'll change society for the better, or force them to have to work a whole lot harder about lying about it. As a body artist, I have a following that's literally worldwide. And a lot of people in Europe and Australia and Canada and other, and below the equator, and a lot of these folks, I'm like the only Black person that they've met, whether it's online or in person at a convention. And I talk a lot about being a Black father. I talk a lot about racial inequality on my Facebook page. And it pisses a lot of people off because they don't like to have that tossed at them. But on the other hand, there are a lot of people who have never seen this. They've never heard these stories. All they know is what they've been told. And on my page alone, I'm trying my best to change that narrative. And I've had people who have inboxed me, offline, telling me that the way they view us, not just me, but Black men, Black fathers, has changed because of the stories that I've put out there. I've had folks who, were diehard Trump supporters who came back to me like, look, I had to change the way I thought because I didn't realize all of this was out there. I didn't realize this was what was happening to you guys. I didn't realize people like you, and they didn't say it like, oh, you're one of the good ones, but, literally saying that I didn't know that Black folk were just like, everybody else. And that, but with the exception being that we wind up going through more than everybody else, and we're still, striving. We're still, climbing that mountain. And us being, Black fathers, however we got into it, whether, we had a good role model growing up or whether we didn't, the things like the three brothers here, the one thing that we all have in common is that we've recognized what the narrative should be and have made sure to exemplify that for our children. Whether we didn't have it, there's a lot of folks who, a lot of brothers who, they're abusive to their, to their girlfriends, their wives, their children. They say, I didn't have a role model growing up. I just did what I did. I just did what I knew. But you got brothers who knew what was wrong and said, I'm going to change that for my children. I'm not going to be that man because I know that man is wrong. And one way or another, I'm going to make a change on that today. I'm going to turn that corner.
All right. I know that's right. I appreciate that, Corey. So, Tony, how do you feel, how important do you think it is for Black men to be role models for their children in our society today? I mean, what impact do you think it will have?
All right, so let me say this, as a father, right? All I try to do is set a foundation. I don't try to be the greatest man alive because I'll be lying to my kids, right? So just like these two smart brothers that's on the phone with me, they might have expertise that I don't have, right? So I'm gonna lay a foundation for my son based upon my experiences in life and with things like that. But I also feel my son can learn from these other two guys because they got expertise that I don't have. So yes, I'm the foundation, but I'm not necessarily the role model. You know what I'm saying? Because the role model, I don't know, we don't know how our kids' minds expand and the things that they may want to do. And if I can't give it all to them, I just want to hope that it's other brothers out here like this that I say, man, look, my son needs this guidance. And, you can go ahead and help him with that. And then if they feel a kid needs some guidance from me, and I can give it back to them. So it's like we all are role models. It's just not that one dad, because that one dad that had your kid just thinking one way, and the world don't think one way. So I think all of us good dads come together, man, and we start like a little good dad coalition. I mean, we could start a whole lot of stuff just by doing that. You know what I'm saying? True. A lot of people being solid, you know what I'm saying? Because you only going to be as solid as the people you have around you. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I want all of, like, these guys is probably even, my son could be my son's role model right now because they live with a stance and a cause. You know what I'm saying? They want better for the kids. They want better for future generations. Outside of their own kids, they want the best for their kids too, but they want the best for everybody because guess what? If all of us want the best for our kids, then our kids ain't having these clashes like you see in DC now, where every other day 2-3 people die. You know what I'm saying? You could be able to come to somebody and talk to them. I think that's a big thing too. Dads need to start intervening on trying to show their sons how to control their emotions and not always act so aggressively when they get upset or somebody has an opinion that differs from theirs. Exactly. I think that a lot of that stuff got to go on, and I think the impact would be great because now we will have a calmer society that know more about business and camaraderie and getting together, and then we'll stop being that unity that's supposed to be in community.
Yeah.
That'll help put the glue together. So that's all I have to say about that one.
Yeah, so Each one teach one. We're a
Yeah.
village.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're
Yeah.
a village.
Speak our
And-
truth.
There you go, Letrise. And that's the thing that will help our society. And it will also, I'm not even going to ask the next question because it kind of encompasses that answer, is that it will help with generational delinquency. It will help
Right.
with, the children who are lacking if all fathers unified. You see something, do something, and it's good, Tony, that you're the type of parent who won't mind that. Because you got some fathers, some parents, they don't like people stepping in on their territory.
No.
Huh?
Let me clear that up, right? Let me clear that. I see what you're saying, right? No, my territory is once I build that foundation is solid. Anybody else could come and add a brick. Anybody else, it's a positive brick. You know what I'm saying? If it's not anything that's going to destroy the foundation that I started with, right? So then they could just keep building and building it, and guess what? That's building a network. So you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just the way I think. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
And Tony, as a father, is in control of what other men come into his son's life and what they pour into it. So if there's somebody who, Tony's the first line of defense for his son. If there's a dude that's coming through trying to give some advice that ain't right, Tony's gonna be the first right there with the stiff arm, like, nah, that's the same for you.
Exactly.
Exactly.
All right, I respect that.
Okay.
So Letrise has some questions she wanted to ask. And these are on a lighter note. So, I turn the mic over to my girl Letrise.
All right. Thank you, Selena. These are some good questions and good responses. I really like this.
Yeah.
So let's keep on going. So Archie, how would your children describe you as a father? And is that different from the way you would describe your own father?
Oh man.
I gotta write my answer down. Go ahead.
Yeah. The short, easy answer is yes, because I'm there. But I would say, I hesitate in speaking for them, but I would hope they would say that my father's been there, and not just there, that he's contributed to a positive influence in my life. For me, I think my main aim was to just be there initially. And then as you mature and as you grow and as they develop, you understand you have to do more than be there. You have to pour into their lives. You have to guide them. You have to give them tutelage. And so to add to just being there, I would hope they would say, I helped them navigate their life and come to whatever conclusion that they have for themselves. My idea for their life doesn't really matter. And I'll be the first to say that, because they have to live their lives for themselves, just like we had to live our lives. And so, I would just hope that they would say I helped guide them in a positive direction and help them solidify the choices that they made. And when they fall short, I was there to catch them. And that's what I would hope they would say.
Okay, very good. Corey?
You still with us, Corey?
Yeah. How would you?
Hey, I'm still here.
Okay. How would your children describe you as a father? And is that different from the way you would describe your own father?
He blanked out. He must have about to say something heavy. The government don't want him to say it.
Hey, Corey, we'll let you fix the technical difficulties and move to Tony. We'll get right back with you.
All right, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I told you, I got 3 different scenarios, right? One might be like, I know he mean good, but he real like strict, like, you know what I'm saying? He real strict and stern, like the other guy said. The other one, the middle kid, he probably starting to see that my way ain't the best way, but it is a level of guidance. And then I would say the younger one, he'd be like, I know daddy good and I know daddy bad. He always tell me to learn from both sides of him, learn what to do and learn what not to do. So I think that they would have 3 different opinions, but I'm pretty sure that all of them would match up similarly to what I just said, though. I mean, just by based upon our interaction.
Okay. And is
Corey,
that
are you back?
Corey, you back? Yeah. It looks like he's back.
Unmute yourself, Corey. Maybe you're muted. So
Corey?
we'll come back to Corey.
Yeah. There he
You
is.
hear Corey?
There you
Okay.
go.
There you go.
Okay, I apologize. I was having an issue with the audio.
Okay.
Oh, sorry about that.
No
So
problem.
Latrice is asking you a question.
Yeah. How will your children describe you as a father? And is that different from the way you would describe your own father?
I know my kids have described me different than I describe my own dad, because if for no other reason, then I tried to be a combination of exemplifying those things about my dad that I loved and correcting those things that I thought that I did not want to see repeated in, between me and my daughters. My kids, generally, and I kind of had this on good authority. I literally asked my daughter, a couple of minutes ago while you guys were talking, and among the words she used, she said I was, she said kind, but strict. Well, she made sure to tell me not in an abusive way, but as I mentioned earlier, stern. I wanted to make sure growing up that they knew exactly where the boundaries were, what the rules were, and as they got older, I was able to back off on that. But kind in the sense that I don't believe in telling the child to stop asking questions, or if they want to talk, to push them away because I'm busy. What they want to do is the most important thing, to me. And I'll drop whatever I'm doing in order to take care of them and what's important to them, especially if there's something going on that they feel that they need to, that they would like to talk about, something that happened to them or that they're going through. Both of my daughters. My oldest is a lot quicker to come to me to speak to my younger one, but my younger one will open up as well. So I would imagine they would look at me as, like I said, being kind, but stern, but also being caring and willing to be open. Now, my dad, I would describe him as I would describe him as being kind, but a lot more stern than kind.
Mm-hmm.
I did not see him as being open to listening to me or things that I was going through. And it had a very serious effect on me growing up, because he was more willing to let me know when I was doing something wrong than when I was doing something right. And growing up as a teenager, it really affected me because I grew up feeling that I did everything wrong, that I didn't have that. I didn't feel that there was any positive reinforcement. And being 14, 15 years old, I don't know how to articulate that. I just know that, from where I sat, my dad was embarrassed of me, or he didn't think that I was, as good a son as he would have liked to have. And I wanted to make sure that my girls never grew up
feeling that,
wondering if their dad was proud of them, wondering if their dad loved them. I was literally in my 30s before my dad said he was proud of me for the first time.
Oh, wow.
And the dad's no longer here with us, but when he was shortly before he passed, we were sitting around and we talked, and we had all the last words and came to grips with everything. Fortunately, like a week before he died, so the next week was just bonus time. We were chilling and laughing and everything. But he had told me, he said I was more like him than either of my brothers, but he recognized that he didn't say it. He didn't tell me those things that would have really reinforced me and helped me with, the issues that I had with my own, insecurities, my own self-consciousness. And I wanted to make sure that those things, that I didn't pass that on to my daughters.
Amen.
So
Good
there's a
job, bro.
difference.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
appreciate that.
I
So-
appreciate that too. Yeah. And you know what? Just listening to what you're saying about your parents, I think all of our parents did that because, you know, my parents, you know, you didn't get praised until they were much older, up in their years before they said, baby, you know, I'm proud of you. And, you know, I've waited 40 years to hear that, you know, those
Right,
words.
right.
And, you know, to hear that, you know, because my parents didn't get that type of praise when they were coming up. You know, it's
But do you think that came from something that was handed down to them that they didn't receive
Yep.
it, so they didn't know how to give it?
Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
And then too, that you got to think sometimes what our parents may have thought out for their lives,
Mm-hmm.
and their kids are excelling beyond what they had planned for them. It's hard for them to say they proud of us because they feel they failed, but they're not looking at it as a success because they taught their kid to be better than them.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And that's ultimately what the next goal is. So, I mean, I know a lot of situations where the parents actually were jealous of the kids because the kids' success. And that's crazy.
That is.
And that's crazy.
Sure.
That is.
Yeah, my goal as a father is for my kids to be better than me at everything.
Yep.
I don't want to cross the finish line first. I want to see them cross the finish line ahead of me in everything that they do. And you know, that's the, as a teacher, as a coach, that is the mark of a good teacher, coach, role model, that your student surpasses what you accomplished.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that brings me to my next question. What are your challenges and joys of fatherhood? Archie?
The challenges for me are just making sure I don't repeat the cycle. I don't make the same mistakes my dad and uncles made. Just making sure that I stay on the, not perfect, because none of us can be perfect. There's no perfect being walking this planet, but just making sure I don't make those major mistakes. That, you know, that I'm not, you know, I don't have another family outside of the one that I have in my house.
Right.
You know, that's
I had
big,
to laugh.
man.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's big, man. You meet different family members at funerals that you didn't know you had.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time.
Just making sure I don't repeat the cycle. And honestly, it may sound corny, but man, when I was coming up, I was older when the Huxtables came about, but that became a goal for me. That really became a goal. I'm like, man, a TV show showed me it was possible, not real life. And so for me, I just wanted to make sure that I could get as close to that Huxtable life as I could. And you know, so just breaking that cycle, that's been the main thing for me.
Okay. Corey?
I like that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Archie.
The biggest challenge is, you know, for me, is just constantly making sure that my girls are, you know, prepared when, you know, it's time for them to step out the house. That's that's a constant. That's a constant thing. It's, you know, it's constant maintenance. It's not like, I'm gonna give them all these instructions and I can just sit back and they're good. Things change. Society changes. The rules change. Laws change. And while there's, you know, under my tutelage, I have to make sure that they're prepared. And, you know, it's constant worry because you don't want to send your child out. You know, my daughter goes to school in Massachusetts. My oldest goes to school in Massachusetts. My youngest is about to be headed up there as well. She got a scholarship for boarding school. It's only 3 miles away from her big sister. And so they're both going to be, you know, 8 hours away from me and my wife. They're going to be out 8 hours away from their dad and their mom. And so, you know, the challenge is making sure that they're prepared and that they're ready to be able to be out there and handle themselves. My oldest, she turns 21 soon. She's going to graduate from school. She's going to be on her own. You know, my biggest challenge and biggest fear is just making sure that she is ready and capable of handling herself. You know, mom and dad, you know, I'm always going to be there till we're not there.
Right.
And we want to make sure while I'm there that I give her everything that she needs, both of them, everything they need. And if for some reason we're not there, that we've already given them everything that they need to continue. And my biggest joy is just seeing everything they've done, all their accomplishments. I mean, I can brag on both of my daughters, you know, all day long. You know, I could do it until y'all cut me off and say, all right, that's enough. those are, you know, I look at their accomplishments, you know, like, not that I did that, but, you know, they did that. And they are these kids are so great at what they do so well, and they look at me and call me dad. And, you know, that title means something. You know, it should mean something. And it's something that, you know, that's like the biggest thing, the thing that I'm proud of the most. Doesn't matter how much I accomplish on my job or whatever, you know, being dad and having the word dad means something positive to these girls that's the biggest joy. And and what's funny is they're upset a little bit because, you know, dad can't really tell them what he wants for Father's Day. But for me, it's like, man, I already got it twice.
Right.
I have two daughters. You know, I don't even, you don't have to get me anything special for Father's Day, because being the father is the big thing. That's it.
Yep.
It can't get any better than that.
Yep.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much for that. Tony, what is your challenges and your joys of fatherhood?
I think my biggest challenges and my scenarios is, number one, getting along with co-parenting. Let's say co-parenting, right? Instead of being that one household family, right? That was one of my biggest struggles, because it was rules over here and it was rules over here. So the kid was choosing the side that the rules was more lighter on versus the rules that they needed. You see what I'm saying? So that was a hell of a challenge right there. And it wasn't until they start getting older. Like I say, I got one about to be 26, and then right after that, his sister gonna be 27, and the brother gonna be 20. So now that they all older, right? And I mean, they going into that initial part of adulthood, where they can start understanding a little bit more about adult situations, right? So I think that's bringing us closer, because now they coming to me for advice. But I always tried to get at them, but it was always like shunned away. Like, you shouldn't tell no kid that. Nah, I'm gonna put it in this light right here. When my son was little, the junior, when he was little, I never played with him with a little football or a little basketball, because I always wanted to prepare him for what he was going to do as a man. So he was throwing an NFL ball at 5 or 6 years old. So when he got to play with his peers, he throwing that little K2 football like 60 yards in the air, because I was preparing him for what's to come. I don't want to prepare you for what's right now, because you're going to get that, because you're going to grow into that. But I'm trying to show you that other stuff that you're going to need as adulthood, because you always got to think we're going to be adults longer than we ever was a kid.
That's
true. I want you to be prepared for that adult life rather than that child life. I mean, enjoy it, but just know it's short-lived. Because children really have responsibilities. They don't need no job. They just always give me. I want them to know. I don't want them to know when them gimmies die out, and you got to go get it. You prepared to go get it.
Okay.
I really like that. I like that, how you did that with the ball and having him play with the ball he's supposed to play with once he reaches certain age. You did. Yeah, I should have did that with my son.
Okay. Well, guys, Archie had to depart us. He was officiating a wedding in 10 minutes, and he said, thank you all so much. Wow. And thanks to the fellas. He was like, happy Father's Day to you guys. He really appreciate talking with you guys.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes. I wanted to, because he messaged me, so I was like, okay. Yeah. So
it's good to have him on.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, man. Because I'm even learning from the brothers that's on here. You know what I'm saying? And I like to hear those like success stories. You know what I'm saying? Because it makes it become a reality. You know what I'm saying? All of us as fathers gonna have different journeys, right?
Yeah.
But I like to hear those good. I like to hear those good journeys, and you know what I'm saying? Because that make me stronger to pull my journey closer. You know what I'm saying? To that path, because all of us have our own ideology of what we feel like a father should be, right? Whether we had one or we didn't, or we watched the Huxtables, or we watched Good Time. You got James, you got Cliff. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be. I was more on the James side.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And so once I hear all of these different things and how we conversing with, about this subject, man, it's motivation, man. Because it's like I said, we're a father until the day we die.
That's
so
right.
I mean, I got work to do. I got work to do. I still got work to do, but I'm a work it.
That's right.
That's all good. As long as you keep on trying, that's all that matters.
That's
Man,
right.
we all got work to do. But these stories are good because we all see here that we ain't alone.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, sir.
So that brings us to the next question. So, and I'll start with you, Corey. Okay. How do your children feel about the career you have taken on? And do they want to follow in your footsteps, or how different are their career goals from yours?
I work for the government. I work for Customs and Border Protection. I don't think my children are of any interest in, working for the government or whatever. I don't think they have any feelings one way or another about my 9-to-5 job. I'm also a face and body artist. I do, face painting, body art, and they're both, been intrigued by that, by doing that, because they both learned to some extent either, how to do face painting, how to airbrush, do airbrushing, do, different things in children's entertainment. And they've gravitated to it because both of my daughters are gifted artists, and so they like that aspect of what Dad does. But as far as what they're looking to do for their careers, I know that my youngest, she's absolutely interested in doing something with the arts. She's a gifted speaker. She's been, she's had poems published in several books, before she left the 7th grade. So she's looking to do something, with her hands, with her voice, with those talents. My oldest has, she in the 5th grade, she fell in love with engineering, robotics engineering, and that has been like her passion. She's also a gifted artist. She also can make her own clothes, and as a cosplayer, one of the folks who, dresses up in the superhero outfits at the Comic-Cons and for kids' parties or whatever. Noelle has made several of her own costumes and put together pieces for several of mine. She's got several paths to take that she can, that life can take her in, but engineering is her main goal. She actually filed her first patent before she left high school, and that's what she's in college for now. So she is well on her way. This girl is, incredible. So their career goals definitely diverged from where mine were. But that's cool. I have no problem at all with that. They're trying to travel in their own direction, as opposed to you have to join the family business sort of thing. Because if you let them travel in their own direction, but give them some guidance, they're gonna love what they do.
Absolutely.
That goes back to what I said about being that foundation and letting their minds expand, and then you can see what they're gonna become. But you gave them a solid foundation. I like how you put that too. I appreciate that, brother.
No problem, man.
And Tony, your response to yeah.
Go ahead. What's the question again?
How do your children feel about the career you have taken on, and do they want to follow in your footsteps, or how different are their career goals from yours?
Okay. I got 3 different situations. Okay, let's say that 144.5 a week. None of them want that. They like, oh, Daddy, I don't want that.
Me neither.
They like, no, I don't want that. Okay, so like my daughter's kind of similar to the previous guy's daughter, because she's very autistic, and she like, she like making her own clothes, the web designing and things like that. And also, she wants to mentor young teenage women that, you know, I don't want to say that may be a little bit promiscuous and maybe getting themselves into a situation that they don't want to have to, you know, carry on for adulthood. So that's my daughter. Now, my middle son, I don't know if he want to be a politician, a comedian like me, or a gigolo. I don't even know which one he want to be. Maybe he could get all three of them into one business. I don't know. I just let him know he moved wrong. I'm like, nah, you should have did that. You should have listened to me. Should have. But I don't know what he want to do. But I know he got a lot of things he want to do. He just got to figure out which one he want to do.
Okay.
Right.
And so I'm like, you know, I just take my hands off of him. I'm gonna help him with each and every last one of them. But I'm like, you know, you 25 about to be 26. You got to pick one. You know what I'm saying? You got to pick one. Now, my little son, I ain't worried about him because he's going to school now to be an air traffic controller, right? And like they start out making a lot of money. And I was like, he ain't even 22, 23, probably got the capacity to make more than somebody 46, 47. So I'm saying if you get in there and do that, then you can have, you know, open up your string of barbershops, do whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do. But like now is the time that you need to put in that work. And I keep telling them, have fun, but don't be no daddy yet. Have fun. That's all I tell them. Have fun, but don't be no daddy yet. You got to get everything that you need in order first for you to be the best man that you can be. You don't need financial, emotional, none of those other headaches. You don't need none of that. Just focus on what you got to do. And, you know, like all of them pretty much on they all over the place. But my big son, he's the one that want to take on to the comedy life. And like none of them play percussion instruments. They can't stand it. They be like, Daddy, that's too loud. We're gonna pick a quieter instrument or something. They don't want to do none of that. But that's pretty much it.
Okay.
All right, that's cool.
Oh, and I'm a grandfather too. Shout out.
Yay.
All right. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Two twin grandsons and a granddaughter. So I'm
right.
good.
All right.
All right, man.
Oh, that's excellent.
That is. So the next question, what is a fatherly saying or quote that has stuck with you that you have always remembered? Corey.
Oh man, that's easy. My dad used to say this all the time to me, to my brothers. When we were in the Boy Scouts, he was a scout leader. You know, he said it to all these brothers out there. He said, "Live and learn. If you don't learn, you don't live too long."
Okay, that's good.
Wow, short, easy, and to the point, though.
Yes, straight to the
that was
point.
it right there, boy.
Yeah. Hey, look, I know the other guy gone. I don't want to say mine because mine is not PG-13.
But we grown on this.
It's
This
not
is
fit for a
Sistah's
family show.
conversation.
Yeah, it's not fit for a family show, right? But okay.
We'll clean it up a little bit.
My father always said, think with the right head, right? Because thinking with the wrong head can make you a bum, right? And you get what I'm saying? Thinking with the wrong head. And that's on so many different levels, right? So you can apply that all over the board almost, you know what I'm saying? So that's one of them. That's one of them that stuck with me.
Okay. All right, Tony. All right, so what advice would you give other fathers today or any soon-to-be daddies? Corey.
Oh, man. What advice? There's a couple of different. Actually, do me a favor. Tony, can you take this one first? I'm actually in the car and I'm about to drop my daughter off, and I want to give a full answer to this one, but I also don't want to do it while I'm dropping her off and telling her what we need to do next.
All right, go ahead. Let me check. All right, ask me the question again. Let me get this together.
What advice would you give other fathers today or any soon-to-be daddies?
I'm gonna give them no advice. Right?
Really? Why?
I'm gonna give them no advice because it's something that they gotta learn on the go. You see what I'm saying? Because I can say, don't do this, don't do that. But I'm giving you the theoretical for what worked for me. You don't have the same mentality, personality, none of the ideologies we share in common. We just share fatherhood in common. So I can't just tell, I wouldn't give you no advice. Now I can give you suggestions.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because the advice means I'm advising you that you should do this. No, I say I can suggest that maybe you should try this, maybe you should try that. But like giving advice to the up and coming, I mean the ones that's already dads, I couldn't do that. I don't know what type of scenario they got with the parent. I don't know where they at emotionally in their life. I don't know how financially, none of that. I couldn't give them no advice. I can only give them suggestions. Now the new fathers, I would just, all I could tell them, it's not a game. It's not all that what you think it's gonna be is pampers and shoes and walking around with the baby. Oh, this is my kid and all. It's way more than that.
Right. Say that again.
It's 24/7. You almost like one of those little ring alarm systems that you on all the time.
Yeah.
All the way, every day. When something cross that motion detector, you got you up. You got to be, unless you prepare for that, you're setting yourself up for failure, man. You got to be so selfless as a father. Because I know you still got your ambitions and your dreams too, but I ain't gonna say irresponsibility, your decision to have unprotected sex caused your life to be this way. You have to take that accountability first. And then once you take that accountability, then you can understand why you have to digress from a lot of things that you wanted out of life and this and that. You should have got those things first before you became a father. So that's my thing with them. And one thing is, no matter, this the new daddy. One thing is, just if you and the mother is not going to get along as a relationship and be a family, be as cordial as possible.
Absolutely.
Right.
Understand that the kid is y'all common goal. And y'all gonna have to work together to do that. You can't be one on this one or one on that one, or when she get a new man, she try to make the man the father. You get a new lady, you try to make the lady the mother. No, it's y'all two. Y'all two have to figure that out. So if y'all ain't gonna be together, be the best co-parents that you could possibly be. Then maybe he's back now.
All right, Corey.
All right. So, man, there's so much. The first thing a father needs to know, and this goes for, especially for young fathers, because they can learn this right off the top. They have this, they can keep this thing running. But, it also works for fathers who've been around for a while. It will help and strengthen and maybe save their relationship with their kids, is to take self out. The minute, like we were talking before, the minute you have that child, the minute you have that baby, it's about the baby.
Yep.
It's less about you and about them. It's not about, well, I need to go out. I'm tired. I got to go out. No, you got to take care of that kid. That's the only priority you ever gonna have. So that child leaves your house. You can fit going out and whatever, with somebody who may be able to watch your kid every once in a while, but even then you don't abuse that privilege. Because this is about you raising this child. You brought the child into this world. Now you're responsible for him or her, and you got to do your job. It don't matter whether or not you like it. It don't matter whether or not you want to. This is your job. This is what you got to do. Be cognizant of the fact that everything you do is an example to your child. Everything you do. Every person you speak to, how you speak to people, just like Tony was saying, the relationship you have with the child's mother is an example to that child. They're going to take that with them and internalize that as they move forward with their life. You talk about those, the examples that kids have. I didn't have a good father role model growing up. It's because the men in their lives did things that that weren't right, and they passed those things on. Now, what does that say when the kid has a role model, men around him as fathers that are doing what's right? That sense, that same example. He sees this, and this is going to be, that's going to be put onto the hard drive. Those are things he's going to do instinctively when it's his turn.
Yeah.
Spend time with your kids. don't believe that you working all the time is a substitute for you spending time with your children.
Absolutely.
Your kid could care less how much money you make if you're not there to spend time with the child.
Mm-hmm.
That is so true.
You have to recognize that your child needs you, and there's no substitute for that. There's no substitute. I love my single mothers to death, but I don't wish a happy Father's Day to mothers because they're not fathers.
That's
Same
right.
way I'll never wish a happy Mother's Day to a father. I don't. And people get upset, you know, when they say, "Well, yeah, I'm the mother and the father." No, you're not. You're mother with twice as much work.
That's right. That's right.
You don't get.
Hey, bro, say that one more
you
time,
get
bro.
2 Mother's Day gifts.
Yeah,
That's right.
say that again, because
That's what that is.
And I see mothers be like this. Well, I'm the mother and the father. Nah, babe, I don't know the situation, so I don't know why you just the mother by yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I don't be quick to judge on those situations. But yeah, I can never give a mother happy Father's Day. I can never do that.
No,
Absolutely.
that's just not what that is. Now, Mother's Day come, you give her 2 or 3 gifts, give her twice as many gifts as she's supposed to get, because she got a job, because there's somebody that either hasn't stepped up or for whatever reason is gone.
Right.
But there is you can't substitute that fatherhood, that figure. You can't substitute that.
That's right.
You can't leave that job for somebody else to do, because it's nobody else's job but yours.
Right. Absolutely. I don't think an uncle could do it. I don't think a mother new boyfriend could do it. I don't think a mother friend could do it, because like my son said to me that no matter who mommy will bring around or whatever, I didn't respect it because it didn't come from you. Because you my father. So I mean that's what he's saying is like some real stuff though, y'all. I ain't even playing. What he just said is real stuff, man.
Yeah. I mean, and it don't get no better than that. If you follow those rules, you're gonna have a solid relationship with your kid. That does not mean it's not gonna be difficult. It does not mean things ain't gonna be hard. But you're putting yourself in a position where you can be that example for your child. You have to. You gotta be there, and you gotta be consistent. Yeah. That was one of the things my dad said. Like his advice, giving me advice as a father: be consistent. If it's no on Tuesday, it can't be correct on Thursday.
Right.
Yep. Ooh, say that.
If I say something, if there's no on Tuesday, it can't be. If I'm not going to allow it on Tuesday, I shouldn't be allowing it on Thursday. It should be, because the kid has to know. They got to know what the rules were. You got to be consistent. And,
right.
When they, no matter how much the kids say they don't like the rules or whatever, they want boundaries. They want to know they want to know where that line is when they, they may not like what happens when they cross it, but they know where that line is.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, and if you don't set that line for them when they're at home, guess what? They're gonna live their life like there's no boundaries too.
Mm-hmm.
So
and that's when society disciplines your child.
And that's what I was going to say. That's when it go like I could never understand. Like, how could you want to lock me up for maybe whipping my child when the ass whooping that you gonna give them if I don't try to control his behavior in house, it's gonna be way worse than any 5 or 10 minute ass whooping they ever get. It's going because you gonna take years away from their life. I'm only trying to take minutes and try to get my point across. You know what I'm saying? And so I mean, I feel you on that one, bro. Real.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I mean, honestly, I go all day. There's just so much. There's so much that fathers, need to know, and that that we can do to better our children's lives. And I'm glad that I'm sitting here on a panel with with 2 brothers that are already doing it. It's it's excellent.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just the one thing that I had wanted to say when you made the comment, wishing women who get mad when you don't wish them happy Father's Day. I have a friend who every year she sends me a happy Father's Day text. And I go, I done told you I'm not a father. My daughter has a whole father that she wishes happy Father's Day every year. I am the mother. And just because he and I aren't together, that doesn't mean I get a Father's Day text. Just keep sending me the Mother's Day text.
Oh man. That's it. That's all you had to do.
There you go.
But she does it every year. every year.
But then maybe on Father's Day you should just block her text so you won't get it.
She making a point. That's what that is.
Right.
I'm gonna make this point.
But yeah, every year I send that same message back to her. I'm like, you hard-headed. I am a mother first. I can never, I said, I will never accept both roles, you know?
Right. Because that means you totally excluded one side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's terrible.
Yeah, I didn't make up by myself. Because if we made babies by ourselves, why would we even be having this conversation?
Well, that's a whole different another can of words, but hey.
I know. You gonna say something, Selena?
Oh no. I was trying to keep my phone from falling over here.
All right. So, we're going to dive into the next segment of the show, and that is being a Black man in America, which is, especially these last few years have really shown its ugly head. So, and it affects our Black men. So, given the injustice that all of us have witnessed over the last year, how does that make you feel as a Black man? And I'll start with you, Corey.
I need you to repeat the question one more time.
Oh, okay. Given the injustice that you all have witnessed over this last year, how does this make you feel as a Black man?
Oh man, it is frustrating to a degree that I can't describe. You're always, as to paraphrase James Baldwin, being a Black man in America means you're always in a constant state of rage because of what is going on. This society, that's what people don't recognize. Systemic racism means that it is literally built into the system.
Exactly.
It is literally built in, it's baked into the cake. And we are victims of it at every instance, in just about every walk of life. We have to be prepared for it. We have to deal with it. We don't have any choice but to deal with it. And there are people out there, even now, whether it's, just the general public, lawmakers, Congress, those folks are out there actively working to not fix the problems that have existed since before they were there, and that they happily take advantage of and benefit from. And you hope things get better, when they're publicized, but you find that a lot of the folks who say, "Oh, this is so terrible, we need to change this," they're not really serious. They're there for the move. They're there for the moment, but not the movement.
Yep.
Well, that's the reason why we've been through 45 presidents, and the same crap still exists today.
Hello.
It's horrible to go through and to witness, and literally are raising children in it. And part of my raising my daughter now has to be preparing them both for what may happen to them if things go south out there on the street, dealing with the police or whatever, because they are not guaranteed to be able to go to a police officer, and get some good resolution on it. Those are the very people that we're supposed to trust with our lives are the very people who can take them. There are too many names that to be listed, as far as people who thought that they could, who thought that they were in good hands and never came home.
Absolutely.
I bet it's my greatest fear that when I say goodbye to my daughter as she leaves the house,
it'll be the last
that's the last time. That's the last words I say to her. And what's more frustrating is nothing more. The only thing that's more frustrating than that fear is the fact that there are people out here who know that this is the case for us and are quite happy. Yeah, they're happy with that scenario because it doesn't affect them. It doesn't affect them, so they don't involve themselves. But when they themselves are in trouble, we're the first people that they go to ask to stand with them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right. Corey, I'm sorry. Thanks, Corey, for that. Tony, How does this make you feel as being a Black man, the injustice that we've all witnessed this last year?
I mean, just to put it, just like Corey was saying, right? This ain't nothing new. This is a part of a system, right? That our race doesn't have any control on it. We are pawns in this whole little system, right? So we get moved. We get moved. How we always get sacrificed. You see what I'm saying? We always get sacrificed because they don't want us around, right? So what I try to do to reverse that mentality is don't call myself a Black man. Call myself a man that's got to survive in a system that's meant to tear me down. And it only gonna make me stronger by trying to tear me down, right? Once I think that, and I try to put that in my sons, I'm like, I do tell my sons, I don't care. If the police pull you over, throw the damn keys out the window, and you damn near put your hands through whatever window you got to do. And if they want to take you out the car, I said, I don't care if they slam you, messed up and all that. We'll deal with that after the fact, long as they don't kill you. They can slam you. You can get over getting slammed because an officer frustrated. You're a young Black man out here, and he want to take it. His boss done pissed him off. He want to take it out on you. We'll deal with that later on. But don't get that man a chance to shoot you in your head or kill you, and then where that's gonna leave me? I'm gonna hate all police.
Come home hurt, but come home.
Come home hurt, but come home.
Right.
We'll figure everything else out. So that's where I'm at with it. You know what I'm saying? Because like Corey said, man, this is a system. And with us being fathers, like how we being fathers, we're slowly but surely trying to change that system. We might not see it, but long as we did our part to break that cycle that keep recurring and things like that, we done our part. Now it's up for our kids to do it and their kids to do it, because eventually it's going to break. Nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, the change is coming now because a lot of these kids now are more rebellious than we was. I'm talking about politically rebellious than what we were. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of they not going for that same shit. That's why you see the memes on Facebook. Oh, we is not our grandparents. Y'all, you notice like when a lot of other races talk that shit now, we'll just talk, yes sir, no sir, no ma'am, yes sir. They're like, who the hell are you talking to? Okay. We're not going for that. So we've been going for it for so long. Now they getting agitated and worried because like, okay, is this revolution about to start now? Because now they ain't just letting us say anything. They ain't just letting us, because they got minds. They got just as much as intelligence as we do, and we stole their intelligence and we just put a patent on it. So we in a Black man in this current world, I feel good because I see changes coming. It ain't coming as rapidly as I want it, but I try to forecast that. I see it being different years down the line. In my lifetime, may I feel it? No, but I feel it's going to come eventually because we're building soldiers, smart soldiers that's going to be a community, a village. Just like they say the Jewish dollar stay in a community 8 times. Man, I'm trying to get it to my Black people. Let's keep our dollars in our community 8 times before we ship it out. Then that way we can do just so much more. And you got to think, they say we a $2 trillion a year business, but we spend our money on everything but outside of us. Come on, that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. We'll get it together, though. We'll get it together. All of us will get it together. It's just a matter of time.
Yes, we will. We will definitely get there. It's, these last couple years have shown us where we as a people are finally coming together, and we are finally, we've had enough, and we're changing the narrative to our story, and we're making sure our history is being corrected so that our future can be told
the right way
and represented the right way.
Right, the right way.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know about y'all, what school y'all went to, because the only Black people I thought was popular was in Martin Luther King,
Frederick Douglass,
Malcolm X, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, George Washington. It's so many other ones than that did like real monumental, like, God, I didn't even know he did that.
Right.
That's motivation. They want to keep them stories away from us, keep us docile. Because as long as we don't take a stand and fight back, we always going to succumb to the same thing.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? We always going to succumb to the same thing, man.
Absolutely. Well, this was so good. First of all, let me just thank you all. Archie Bouie, who I know had to leave early, I appreciate him taking the time out of his day. I appreciate you, Corey, and you, Tony, for talking with us. And I want to wish you guys a happy Father's Day. I'm so proud of my Black men. I love my Black men. And I love y'all for staying in there, being positive, strong fathers in America. Y'all represent what it's like to be a Black, not just a Black man, but a Black father, because you are the epitome of being positive, a positive influence in your children's lives, and you're instilling in them integrity, respect, and love. And thank you, brothers. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank y'all for having us.
I appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it.
Thank
Hey,
you, both.
Corey. Hey,
Yes,
Corey,
sir.
man. Salute, man. I like what you doing over that side, bro.
Hey, man, you doing it too, man. You're doing it. I
Be
appreciate
great,
it. I
man.
love
Be
you. I love
great.
your
All
story.
day.
I
Be
love what
great.
you're doing, sir.
Thank you, man.
I appreciate both of you guys for participating. I was so happy when I reached out to you guys that you agreed to join us. And shout out to Archie as well too. And I hope his wedding, the wedding he's coordinating, goes well. And we'll have to catch Adrian Carter next time. This was very informative as well as entertaining. Letrise and I definitely wish you all continuous success as leaders in our communities. Doing what you do is very much appreciated. We know you guys aren't perfect, but you do the best you can, and it's definitely appreciated. I shout out to all the fathers, including my husband, who does a wonderful job at being a father. Shout out to my husband, Ken. You don't see him on social media like that because he don't do the nonsense. But, I appreciate him and love him so much for him raising our son. And then we want to thank our listeners for joining us. And just always remember, it's never too late to be a father, to be a good father. As parents, even as moms, we're always making adjustments because we're not perfect. And we listen to our elders and we listen to our, fellow friends. We learn from each other. It's a village. And so all of us, we play a very important part in this journey of parenthood, because how we are as parents affect our community and our society. So thank you guys again so much. I appreciate you, Corey. Man, we always had those deep talks though, didn't we, Corey, back in the day? We always had those good, deep conversations. So, and Tony, I appreciate you. 29 years today.
29, 92 blue.
I know, 1992 blue. Shout out to our alumni school, Eastern Ramblers in the house. I appreciate you all though. And thank you, Letrise, so much. Keep doing what you do. And,
Thanks to our special guests for joining the show today. Be sure to follow us on your favorite streaming channel so you don't miss a show. We can be heard on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and YouTube at Sistah's Place. Visit our website, www.sistahsplace.com, to learn more about us.